It began without warning. It began without warning. One Tuesday morning, humanity woke up to find it had a new sun. There was no grand announcement from the heavens, no trumpet call from the cosmos, just a second, brilliant point of light hanging in the sky beside our own familiar star. It was smaller, yes. It burned with a fierce bluish-white intensity, but it was unmistakably a sun. Gardens, people standing, coffee cups in hand, staring up in quiet disbelief. Motorways, cars slowing to a crawl, drivers shielding their eyes. Morning commute transformed into a scene from a science fiction film they never asked to be in. It was a spectacle of impossible beauty and profound terror across the globe, awe and confusion. Social media feeds exploded with millions of photos. Was it a trick? A planetary-scale projection? Government buildings, empty lobbies, silence. Professional astronomers rushing at observatory domes, amateur stargazers checking backyard telescopes. This wasn't a supernova, fleeting, distant explosion. This was a stable, persistent star, parked in our cosmic neighborhood as if it had always been there. The quiet wonder began to fracture. Questions piled up. Where did it come from? Rogue star? Captured by our sun's gravity after an aeons-long interstellar journey? Or something far stranger? You're watching IfVerse. Like, subscribe, and tell us what you think really arrived in our sky. The first week under two suns was a period of profound disorientation. The fundamental rhythm of life, the cycle of day and night, was gone. People tried to maintain their schedules, drawing heavy blackout curtains, forcing themselves to sleep while a blue sun shone outside. But the body knows. Cases of insomnia skyrocketed. The constant light felt like a weight pressing down on the collective psyche. Offices installed artificial night systems, dimming lights to a deep blue. A pathetic but necessary attempt to reclaim normality. Children were confused, asking why the moon had been replaced. This perpetual daylight had an immediate visible effect. Global temperature began to climb, slowly at first, then with alarming speed. Nemesis extra radiation was like turning up the heat on a planetary scale. With two suns, there would be no true night. Darkness did not come. Instead, the sky shifted from warm gold to stark silver blue. It was the last sunset humanity would see for a very long time. With two sources of light, shadows became strange and complex, creating a disorienting doubled world. The sky was no longer a simple blue, a shimmering canvas of gold, azure, violet. While beautiful, this celestial artistry was an unnerving reminder of how alien our home had become. Looking up now filled people with profound unease. Industries that relied on darkness collapsed. Astronomy, certain types of fishing. Conversely, solar power experienced an unimaginable boom. Panels generated around the clock, the most valuable commodity on Earth. A desperate attempt to harness the energy threatening to destroy us. With the initial chaos settling into a tense new normal, scientists around the world worked tirelessly to understand the physics of our new situation. The intruder, Nemesis, was a blue dwarf star, significantly hotter and more massive than our yellow sun, despite its smaller appearance in our sky. On-screen data cards displayed stark numbers. Nemesis was emitting vast quantities of ultraviolet radiation, far more than our atmosphere could handle. Our ozone layer was being eroded at a terrifying pace. The threat was not just the heat, but the very nature of the light bathing our world. Our solar system had been a finely tuned machine. The sudden introduction of a second massive body threw this delicate dance into disarray. The orbit of Earth itself began to change. A subtle shift, measured in mere centimeters per day, but the trajectory was clear, a slightly more elliptical path. Over months and years, we would encounter even more extreme heat as we moved closer to the two stars, followed by periods of relative, but still unbearable, warmth. Other planets were disturbed too, a chaotic gravitational snooker table. Cause and effect became the mantra of every briefing. The cause, a second sun. The effects, a cascade of planetary crises. Increased radiation supercharged weather systems. Oceans pumped with heat birthed monstrous hurricanes. Hypercane storms spanning entire continents. Prediction models became almost useless. Patterns too complex, inputs too massive. The climate system entered violent, unpredictable rage. The leading theory, a rogue star captured by our sun, a 1 in a trillion stroke of cosmic bad luck. Humanity was not the victim of a hostile act, but of a random, indifferent universe. There was no one to blame, only the star and the unforgiving laws of physics. The world's oceans, the cradle of life, the great regulator of our climate, were the first to show catastrophic failure. Thermal energy absorption was staggering. Ocean temperatures rose dramatically, faster than the most pessimistic models. The surface in the tropics became like bathwater, warm, clear, increasingly sterile. The Great Boiling had begun. Coral reefs, vibrant underwater cities, bleached in weeks, kaleidoscopic gardens turning ghostly white as delicate algae died. Fish died or fled in vain searches for cool water. The oceans grew quiet. Warm water held less oxygen, spawning vast dead zones. Absorbed CO2 drove rapid acidification. Shellfish, plankton, the base of the food web, began to dissolve, shells unable to form. The planetary food chain crumbled. Nemesis's pull, thermal expansion, and meltwater combined. Tides became erratic and high. Coasts faced constant threat. Places risked being erased from the map. The ocean became an invading force. On land, a planetary fever. The world's forests suffered. Endless daylight and heat turned boreal belts into tinder. Wildfires became year-round, spawning their own weather. Photosynthesis surged, then failed. Crops withered. Pollination cycles broke. Nocturnal species were exposed. Migrations shattered. Flocks circled confused. Strandings soared. Deserts advanced. Fungi erupted. Birds sang all day. Nights fell silent. It was as if nature itself was in a delirious fever dream, and there was no easy cure. While nature buckled, humanity retreated into its concrete fortresses, true cities that never slept. Life moved indoors, climate-controlled. Windows shrank or vanished, replaced by screens simulating day-night. Buildings wore reflective skins, cities shimmering like silver foil from orbit. Day and night became managed illusions. At sundown, lights dimmed, stars appeared, and a shared quiet fell, a necessary fiction. Vast underground districts rose. The wealthy lived deep and cool, the poor toiled in the heat. The twin suns widened society's divide. People moved through tunnels and sky bridges. Outside, survival uniforms, hoods, goggles, breathing masks. The cities were high-tech arcs, fragile. A power failure or breach could be catastrophic. A temporary solution. At least for now. In the early months, there was chaos, cults, riots, fear, shortages. But as the shock subsided, grim determination took hold. People realized screaming at the sky was not a solution. Psychologists named noctalgia, longing for night, moon, and stars. Art grew somber, light became harsh on canvases, poetry mourned what was lost. Parents invented stories, the day sun and the watch sun. Neighbors learned to ration, to care, to gather simply to be together. Children found games in double shadows. Lovers found intimacy in simulated dusk. Scientists and engineers became heroes. There was a quiet refusal to give in. Humanity endured. We learned to live in relentless light, to dream without night, and to hold hope beneath two suns. It became clear adaptation was not enough. Humanity could not live in sealed boxes forever. The planet was dying. Out of desperation came Project Nightfall. The goal, simple in concept, staggering in scale. Not just to shield the Earth, but to move it. First, a vast sunshield at a Lagrange point, a colossal reflective disk acting as a planetary parasol. Assembled piece by piece in space, using materials from the Moon and nearby asteroids. It would make the pyramids or the Great Wall look like a child's sandcastle. The second stage was more daring. Massive engines, gravity tractors, not rockets, but colossal mass drivers on the Moon. They would capture asteroids and fling them past Earth, each flyby imparting a tiny tug, nudging our world to a wider, cooler orbit. The project demanded total mobilization, economies transformed, young people trained as asteroid miners, shield technicians, orbital mechanicians. Risks were immense. A miscalculation could be worse than the problem. But doing nothing was a death sentence. Earth's final throw of the dice. The construction of the lone sun shield, named Umbra, took 5 long years of relentless, unified effort. Fleets of autonomous robots and human crews assembled vast hexagonal panels. From Earth, it was a tiny, growing speck, a man-made star of hope. Completion day was global. As Umbra took position, a shadow crept across the planet. For the first time in years, the light dimmed. A deep, welcome twilight. People wept as temperatures fell by precious degrees. With reprieve secured, Phase 2 began. The first target, a multi-kilometer asteroid, was nudged from the belt. The world watched the celestial harpoon begin its slow approach. Calculations were checked 1,000,000 times. It would miss Earth, grazing a precise point so its gravity could be the gentle hand pushing us to safety. On flyby day, the planet held its breath. A bright streak crossed the sky, a low, deep rumble. Earth itself groaned as its orbit shifted. Sensors confirmed it. The tug was successful. Earth had moved. Again and again, we danced with gravity. Dozens of asteroids over a decade shifted us outward, re-establishing a Goldilocks zone for a binary sun. The heat subsided. Hypercanes waned. Ice returned in patches. It was working. Humanity faced the impossible and began to bend the cosmos to its needs. We looked at 2 suns and refused to be broken. Decades passed. Earth settled into its new, wider orbit. A new equilibrium was reached. Umbra remained, adjusting to keep us comfortable. The sky held a permanent, engineered twilight. The 2 suns still there, their deadly glare muted. True darkness was a story for children. But the endless day was gone. Humanity had survived. Cities opened. People walked outside again. Life began returning to the oceans. Healing had begun. The twist came from a probe sent to Nemesis. The data was perplexing. Nemesis was not a rogue star. Its path was not random. It showed signs of course corrections. It had been guided. Nemesis was not just a star. It was an engine, a stellar-scale transport system. The probe's final images showed vast, geometric, artificial structures orbiting the blue dwarf. We were not victims of accident. We were being observed. They did not contact. They did not attack. They parked their star next to ours and watched. Project Nightfall was not a triumph over nature, but a performance for an unseen audience. We proved we could survive and think on a planetary scale. Humanity lives on, under 2 suns and a man-made shadow. We are no longer alone, yet we have not met our neighbours. We know they watch from the glow of the second sun. Every action we take, every satellite we launch, every broadcast we send, observed by beings who can move stars. The quiet reflection. Did they bring their sun to destroy us or to test us? Was this a threat or a gift? A challenge forcing us to unite and evolve? We may never know. We simply continue, a young fledgling intelligence on a larger stage, forever living in the echo of their starlight. You've been watching IfVerse. Subscribe for more mind-bending realities.